Cool. Morning, guys. How are you? Yeah? You had a good weekend? Yes, why can't it still be that? Oh well, too bad. You're back in math class. I put up some new homework on my math lab into chapter 9 now. I know a few of you guys are done with chapter 8. Some of you guys are like overachievers. We will be getting into chapter 9 tomorrow. Today we're going to finish up chapter 8. Let me see. Any before I get into new stuff, any questions or concerns or anything about old stuff? Yes?
On the website, is all the homework up for chapter 8?
Yeah, we just do 8.1, 8.2, 8.3.
Okay.
So it should all be up there. And then I just put up 9.1 and 9.2. Dude. Sub 9 goes back to chapter 4 because chapter 9 is all about solving systems of 3 equations with 3 unknowns. Oh, shit. So in general, if I have 17 things I don't know, I need 17 pieces of information. And I always look at it like it's a forensic science. You know, if you're trying to figure out who murdered this guy, well, you got to start collecting information because there's a lot of shit you don't know. So the more you don't know, the more information you need. It's crazy. Okay, but that's getting a little ahead of myself. I think we did, the last time we looked at haunted houses and restraining orders. So that was involving putting absolute values with inequalities, right? So today we're going to do something, the next kind of level. We're going to continue to mess up inequalities, and we're going to throw more letters into them. So we got to kind of take a step back and stay with me. So when we do simpler problems, we sometimes don't realize the full idea of what we're doing because we don't have to. What the hell do I mean? So if I wanted you to graph something like, well, why don't these people leave paper so I can steal them? Stupid people. Oh, here we go. Beautiful. I got all kinds of stuff. All right, guys, help me out. Help me out, guys. I need a lot of help. If I was going to try to graph x greater than or equal to 2, how would I accomplish that? I would first do what? Draw a line. I like it. Because I'm only dealing with one dimension, right? And whenever I use that word, people start thinking sci-fi, but one dimension, I can only go left and right. Today we're going to add in a second dimension. Right? So we're like only one dimension away from the real world. Or 8 dimensions away if you really, as we are. Don't worry about that. Now what do I do on the number line? What's the most important thing to get down there? A number, yes. Very specifically, 2. Why do I have to put 2 down there? Don't just say because it's there. We're going to overanalyze the hell out of this shit so that the next level makes more sense. So why do I put 2? True. X is greater than or equal to 2. So 2 is the absolute value inequalities or distances, yeah.
It's the starting point. It's like what's included.
I like it. Well, 2 is going to be included, but even if I didn't have the equal sign, I would still put a 2, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
All right, you guys are like, what the hell does this guy want from me? Because 2 is the dividing line between answers and not answers. 2 is the divider of good and evil. No, it just... Of course, which side is the answers? I don't know. Let's try it. Let's test this out. Like if I put a 1 in there, does it work? Is 1 bigger than or equal to 2? No. So then the other side must be where all the answers are because that's not an answer. So one side has all answers, and the other side, no answers. Because 2 is the dividing point, right? And of course, if I have a line, how do I cut it in half? At a point. Chop it, right? Just at a point cuts it in half. You with me? And you guys are all like, holy shit, dude. Thank God you didn't teach this like this. It's so much easier. I'm trying to get us ready for the next level. So then, of course, here I put bam, and I go bam. Okay, now. So what if I had this instead? But why, Jeff? Because in real life, you have restrictions on what you're allowed. If you enter an elevator, have you ever noticed on the elevator it says something up there, no more than this much weight? You with me? So if somebody's dragging in a cannon, you're like, I'll take that one over there. Because I don't know how much that weighs, and there's a freaking weight limit. If the weight exceeds greater than something, we plummet and die. How do I represent that mathematically? Freaking inequality, right? And in general, is there only one factor? Is there only one factor that affects something? Like the weather. Is there only one thing that affects the weather? Hell no. Holy shit. That's why the weatherman gets it so wrong. There's too many freaking variables to track. But I need more and more variables in the thing that represents what I can do, where my safe zone is. How are you guys feeling so far? I mean, again, I'm sort of getting you ready for what's going to happen, but just to make sense of why inequalities have to work with multivariables, because what's happening in real freaking life? How many variables are there outside right now? More than we know, right? Okay.
Isn't there an equation for that?
What's that?
There's an equation for the amount of variables there?
Equation for?
The amount of variables there are?
No. In fact, every time they kind of come up with some new physics, then they have to go, oh shit, all of our old stuff is kind of wrong. Anyway, I'm not going to teach you physics. Sorry. So, now help me out. Now, what did we put here? The very first thing we did was we put the general place that this could go. There's only one variable, it only needs a line. And then I put the dividing point. Now, where is this going to have to exist? What do I have to draw down here? A graph. Well, that's a graph.
Two lines.
I see 2 lines, 2 dimensions. I like it. So, the XY plane, right? Oh, you're like, here, Jeff, you can't not accept this answer. It's a visual. Okay. I like it. Now, a point is not going to divide that sucker in half. But the idea does not change. There's something that divides this in half. On one side is the answers, on the other side is the non-answers. Because the idea of greater than can't really change fundamentally. It just gets harder to track. So what divides a plane in half? A line. That's right. So if I have a plane, how do I cut it in half? Chop. A line goes through. Yeah. So if I graph the line, the basic line, so there, what did I first put down here? I put x equals 2. Bam. That's what I first did. So here I want to graph x plus y equals 2. That's going to be what cuts it in half, and then one side or the other is going to be where all the answers are. Because somebody help me out. Before we even do any real algebra, can you guys just give me an answer? No. Give me one solution. Is 0 plus 0 greater than or equal to 2? I appreciate the attempt. But now merge that with oh, Jeff, this is going to be so evil to say. Merge that with thought. 1
Plus 1.
and 1. All right, so a solution is a point. I love you guys. Just because I don't hear you doesn't mean I'm telling you you're wrong. So a solution is a point. So 1, 1 is an obvious solution. Give me another one. 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, forever. Right? What about 0, 2? 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. Holy shit. Do you guys start to get the idea? I mean, there's going to be a whole region of answers. Why? Because I have the answers of points. X and Y can both be something. Okay. All right. Those of you who know how to do this are like, God, dude, just get to the point. How do I graph the basic idea? I think earlier, now I can bring the answer in that you gave me. I can solve for Y. What's the y-intercept? Yeah, 2. And then what's the slope?
And since it's greater.
So then you go down 1,
It's an actual line.
Over one.
over 1. Down 1, over 1. I just want to make you say over 1 again. Now, here's the neat thing. Here, when I graph 2, I put a bracket on it because it's allowed to equal. We have to have a similar way of representing this. So we make a solid line. And I like, one of my students said, if you see a line, you make a line. I like that. If you see a line, you make a line. And if it was not allowed to equal, I would make it dashed. That's kind of equivalent to open circles. So this is going to be a solid line. Oh, you're just going to have to freehand it, Jeff. Oh, shit. Yeah, yay. Okay. You ever have trouble with that? Just make the circles bigger. Sorry. Now I've got to figure out what side to shade. This is not good. You stop here, you're going to actually lose more than half the points because this is old news. The new news is to shade one side, just like we shaded here. So one way to do this is to use what's called a test point. That's what I did earlier. I put 1 in, it didn't work, so the other side must be where I shaded. So here, what test point can I use? Well, I'm always going to use 0, 0 if I can, because it makes it really simple when I look at the equation. What's 0 plus 0? Is that bigger than 2? No, we saw that earlier. So is this the side with all answers?
No.
Because that didn't work. So that must be the side of all not answers. So the answers are on that side. So every point in this place works. And if you're like an engineer designing a building, every point in this area, whatever it represents, is the one that will keep the building standing. It won't fall over. Seems to be a good place to be in. Or like if it's energy or electricity currents or something, this is where you won't blow up. That's the physical use of it in the real world. Okay. Now let's go see what they have in this little pamphlet thing, booklet. They have almost my same thing. So here, let's turn the page here. See if we can find that page. You guys try number 1. Basically did it, so it should be a nice baby step.
Yeah.
This one really should be very easy. The only difference between this and the one we just did is the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? 3. I like 0, 3, even better. And then just like before, it's got a slope of -1, so it's going to go. kind of fun. In math, go the other way, we call it a straight curve. We are strange people. And then if I plug 0, 0 in, of course it's not going to work again. 0 plus 0 is not bigger than 3. So that means this is not where the answers are because that point did not work. So the answer's over there again. All right. Not too bad. All right, now do number 2. 2 is more interesting. By the way, before I forget, the way I look at these, I don't use a test point. Greater than. I'm going to shade up. But the steeper the line gets, the less distinct up and down are. If I have a line that's like really steep, then I'm like, that's not up, that's left and right. I mean, that's crazy. So sometimes it's not the easiest. So test points will always tell the answer. But me, I just say greater than, I'm going to shade up. Less than, I'm going to shade down. It's amazing. If you like that way better, just be careful if it's really steep. It's a little harder to tell what's up and down.
I was talking about my past. How I struggled with math. I couldn't tell the difference, but now. Maybe I can learn something new today if I pay attention.
It's always my hope. Now, of course, if you have trouble with slope, y-intercept lines in general, you're going to suck at this because that's the first step. But you shouldn't have trouble with lines. You should not be sitting right where you are and have trouble with lines. So what do I do, guys? Help me out. I like it. I'm just going to shove that negative 3x in front, put it more in the right form, right? And then, of course, I divide by 4. Notice how I divide everybody, because nobody can escape. I always get people that divide one or the other. Don't do that. So it seems to be our favorite y-intercept here at these problems. What's our y-intercept? 3. And then from 3, where did I go? Down 3. Kick ass. Oh shit. Now what kind of line am I going to make? Dashed. And then, if you use a test point, if I use 0, 0, what's the only time I cannot use 0, 0 as a test point?
When the number is 0. When a number is 0.
When the line goes through 0, 0. You can use it anytime it's actually one side or the other of the fence. If it's on the fence, you can't use it. So 0, 0, if it plugs 0 plus 0, is that less than 12? Oh, hell yes. So I'm going to shade that way. Or you can do it my way. Less than, down, done, yay. What does this mean? This? Yes?
Oh, that's everything that's less than.
Be a little more specific. All the points in this region will work. I like it. You're like, freaking hell. How specific do you want me to be? Yes?
So, I was trying my best. I did it a completely different way and I still got it right.
Did you do the intercepts?
I just divided, I took 3x divided by 12, and so that'd be 3 equals x equals 4. And then I divided 4x by 12, which is y equals 4.
All right, now you said it in an interesting
I think
organizational way, but I understand you found the intercepts.
Yeah. I didn't
You make x 0, you divide by 4, you get the y-intercept. Sure. Are the intercepts always going to be pretty, easy to graph? No. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm trying to force you guys to do mx plus b form, but sometimes the y-intercept is going to be gross or the x-intercept is going to be gross. So it might be better to do this. But that'll work. Yeah. I like it. What was that? So guys, this is the problem where you guys got it way ahead of me on that, was it a handout or whatever? Where it said graph the solution, everybody did one of these. The only time you have to do one of these for this kind of question is when I kind of make it clear. I give you this, or I say graph this on the xy plane. Because otherwise I would just need a number line for this. It's only one variable, right? But I want you to graph it on the xy plane. How do I graph y equals negative 4? What kind of line would that be? No. I don't want dot and dash. I want y equals negative 4. What kind of line would that be? There it is. Horizontal. Because if y has to stay the same, and what's the y-axis? What does the y-axis do? It goes up and down, right? So I change y, don't I go up or down? So if y has to stay the same, then I have to be right there. So y equals will always be a horizontal line. X equals will always be a vertical line. Which you guys pick interesting ways to spell that word, but it's all right. It's not spelling class. Yeah. Well, one of my math teachers always graded us on grammar, and I was like, not that grammar's not important, kids. Grammar's important. So, all right, so y equals negative 4. And like you said earlier, I'll take that answer now. It's going to be dashed, right? Greater than. I always think about the Incredibles when I say dash. Incredibles 2 coming?
Are you gonna go see the second one?
Yeah, shit. I had the game and everything.
He's like, what?
So guys, this one should be relatively easy. Where are all the y's bigger than that? Yeah. You gotta love y stuff because up and down is totally defined. Greater than, less than. Now to be honest, x stuff is the same way. So you guys graph number 4. You did it right? You need it. I like that. Sounding you're about 85% confidence.
Try like
65? Oh man.
I know, but
That's when the line is solid. Y equals something is horizontal. You with me?
yeah.
Because y's got to stay the same, so I can't go up or down. X equals can't go left or right, so it's going to be straight up and down.
I understand.
If it's on the right, it must go up. If it's left, it must go down.
Do you mean on this row? Greater. So now what kind of line will this one be? This was horizontal. This one's going to be what kind? Yeah. It's going to be 0. And then you got to see it's less than, so then you figure out which side to shift. Where all the x is less than that line. To the left, to the left. All right, guys. X equals 0 is another name for what? Well, if you graphed it, you should see. X equals 0, where did you put the line? Where is it? It's on the... Okay. So x equals 0 is another name for the y-axis. So y equals 0 is another name for the x-axis. Because what's true about every x for all these points? What point is this right here? 0, 1. What point is this? 0, 2. So if you don't want the x to change, you have to go up and down. The minute you go left or right, the x changes. That's why x equals is a vertical line. That's why y equals is a horizontal line. Nothing major. Don't even have to memorize that shit. It just makes sense. The more it makes sense, the less you got to memorize. We only have so much room in our brains. I know all too well. So this will be, and what kind of line is it going to be, think on? Solid. It's hard to do a dotted line on a line that already exists. Now which way am I going to shade? That's crazy. Because where are the x's less? That way. Okay. So here's the same problem, but just backwards. Tell me what the problem was. Like, was it x greater than or equal to y minus 2? What was the inequality that led to this answer? Does everybody understand what I'm asking? They didn't give me the problem, they gave me the answer. What was the problem? This is prompting discussion. I like it.
I think I got it.
And then this one.
That's the only mistake. Less than. Less than. What do you guys got?
For some reason I wrote it.
Show me what you got.
So I guess I'll do everything.
All right, I like it. I like it.
Oh, sorry. Y is less than.
Yeah. So all right, let's stop right there for a second. That so far makes total sense, right? It's not allowed to equal because it's dashed, right? Less than because they shaded down. Now you just got to figure out, okay, I know the y-intercept, so at the end it's going to be plus 2. And then how much did they go up and over? Up. They went up 1 over 2. All right, do number 6. Well, see, this is a pretty steep line, but can you guys tell it's going to be greater than or less than? And it's going to be greater than or equal to. I like it. You see what I mean about getting really steep and it's like, what the hell's up and down? But you can see what's bigger than this y? That stuff. What's bigger than that? This y? That stuff. So that still is up. Now, what's the y-intercept? 5. So I know it's going to be plus 5 at the end. And then they went down over 1. Yes?
If the slope is negative, you just shade left for,
No. Don't get them mixed up. Slope being negative or positive doesn't mean shit for the shading. Shading is all about, is it greater than or is it less than? That's all it cares about. You could try to like memorize all the situations at home if you want to. Feel free. Guys. Everybody. There we go. This says, where are the y's bigger than or equal to this line? So if I start at the line, where do I go to make the y's bigger? This way. So don't look at it like it was shaded like this. It was actually shaded like this. Greater than that line. Bigger. So that is up still. It's up from every point of the line, it's up. So that's why the greater than still makes sense. I think some of you guys are trying to, maybe one of us, trying to figure out a way to remember left and right. No. You can if you want to. I'm saying don't. Okay. Last idea for the day. At least in here. So now we have 2. So we have a system of inequalities. Right? Unfortunately, it sounds like the world today, but we'll get over it. So how do you do this? Well, you graph both of them. And the answer is going to be where the shading overlaps. So this is really almost real life. You have all these different restrictions that you can draw and you shade and you see where's your safe zone. That's what I was talking about earlier. So you can have a problem where you have there and it's up, there and it's down, and here and it's over that way. So then this is your safe zone. So if you're about to turn the machine on and you notice that your point is there, you don't turn the machine on because you're going to die. Right? You want to pull that sucker back in there. That's your safe zone. It's your panic room. Get in there. So let's try. So really all these problems is doing the stuff you were doing earlier, just doing it twice on the same graph. That's all. So do number 2. So you can do it once, you can do it twice. 3 times in there. Yeah, just because we're doing different stuff with them doesn't mean that the ideas of inequalities change at all. Same idea. So you still have to switch the sign if you divide by negative. Yeah, let's see. What does that mean? These lines should not come out parallel, though. So let's see, this first one, a number of them. I get y less than negative 3 halves x plus 3. There's that plus 3 again, geez. Right? Solving for y. And the second one, if I just tear through all the business, I get y less than 2/5 x minus 2. Is that right? Okay. Let you keep going. You do. Listen, guys. That is one problem. You finish that problem. You shade it, and then you graph this guy. And you shade it, and the answer is going to be where the shading overlaps. Because that's where they're both true. So that's two problems you're graphing on the same graph. That's really all it's happening. Very often, guys, I'll just use arrows instead of a lot of shading, so my graphs don't end up looking like spaghetti or something. They don't end up looking like what? Okay. So for this first guy, what's the y-intercept? 0, 3. And then from there I go where? Got 3, 1, 2, 3. Over 2. I don't go back 2 because there's not 2 negatives there, right? Down, and the other one must be the positive direction. What kind of line is it going to be? Dash it. Dash it. Oh, crap, you do that. That's close, Jeff. And then which way, well, how am I going to shade? You can either do the test point deal or you just go less than. So I'm going to shade this way. Just put a couple arrows. So I might graph it and get all busy. Second guy, so that's the first guy. Put a little 1 there. Second guy, what's the y-intercept?
0,
0, -2. And then I'm going to go
up 2,
1, 2, over 5. Oh, Jeff. Woo. And then this is again going to be a dash it. You don't have to say dash it. Give you less of a door thing. You know, like this, I can. And then less than, so that's going to be down. So right there, I see the answer. Where's the answer? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So then I just shade that in. Oops. That means everything in this area, would work in both equations. So what about this point right here? Jamie? What about this point right there? What's true about that point? It's not going to work in either one. I love it. Kick ass. Good save, Jamie. All right, let's do one last one, and then we'll head out. Number 3 here. Well, I guess we'll head out lower. Please don't freak out about this poor guy, this first guy. What's the y-intercept for that first guy? I always get somebody to freak out and do weird things. So see, it's got a 0, 0 intercept. And then it goes up 2 over 1. What kind of line is it going to be? Solid. Whee. And then which way am I going to shade? Yeah, so pick a point. Where are the y's bigger than this y? Up. And alternately, people freak out about this guy, and they try to use -2 like it's a slope. Why is that not a slope? If it was a slope, it would be in front of x. This is actually a y-intercept. What must the slope be for this? What's in front of the x? So the x is gone. 0. That's why it's flat. That's why y equals is this. Has a 0 slope. X equals actually has an infinite slope. Holy shit. So greater than -2, so -2 is there. Like we just talked about. It's going to be this way. What kind of line is it going to be? Dash it. And greater than, so it's going to go up. So I can see the answer is in here. Whee! Well, you guys can tell me, you can't see. I'm doing it off. Right. It means everything in this area works. All right. So guys, we're out a little early, so if you get in the next lab, just walk slowly.